I don't know what Paige Bueckers has done out here. I don't know if she's wearing a Caitlin Clark mask. Maybe she changed her number to 22.
When one door closes, another one opens. And in women's basketball, Paige Bueckers' heartbreaking injury struggles may have been the very thing that paved the way for Caitlin Clark's rise to superstardom. That's not speculation. That's straight from the mouth of NBA legend Dwyane Wade, who recently dropped a truth bomb on his podcast The Timeout. Wade said he always thought Bueckers was destined to be one of the GOATs. But when she suffered her ACL injuries at UConn, it opened the window for Clark to dominate the spotlight and stamp herself as the face of women's basketball. So today, we're breaking it all down. Paige's setbacks, Clark's takeover, Wade's brutally honest reflection, and what it means for the future of the WNBA.
All right, y'all. So the word is out. Look at this picture right here, man. Somebody said, hey, Paige Bueckers better not make another game scoring consecutively in the double digits. Somebody put the word out, man. And honestly, y'all know who holds that record.
Let's dive into 5 big points. Let's start with Paige. When she arrived at UConn, the hype was unreal. She was the number 1 recruit in the nation, the National Player of the Year as a freshman, and the kind of guard people were calling the next Diana Taurasi. She had the swagger, the vision, the scoring ability, the complete package. But then came the injuries. First, the stress fracture, then the meniscus tear, and the worst of them all, a torn ACL that wiped out her entire 2022-23 season. These weren't minor tweaks. They were career-altering injuries that came at the absolute peak of her college hype. Instead of building momentum, Bueckers was forced into rehab, surgeries, and watching from the sidelines. And here's the brutal truth. Basketball doesn't wait. While Paige was sidelined, another star was waiting in the wings, and that star was Caitlin Clark. Bueckers' injuries weren't just physical setbacks, they created a vacuum. The media, the fans, and the game itself needed someone to step into that spotlight, and that's exactly what happened. Enter Caitlin Clark. While Bueckers was recovering, Clark was exploding at Iowa. She wasn't just scoring points, and she was dropping 40-foot bombs, shattering records and dragging her team to heights nobody expected. Dwyane Wade summed it up perfectly. Clark was always elite, but Paige's absence accelerated her rise. Without Paige dominating headlines, the national spotlight shifted to Clark. She became must-watch TV. She became the story every network wanted to cover, every fan wanted to follow, and Clark didn't waste the opportunity. She delivered. Night after night, she showcased generational talent. Logo threes, triple doubles, clutch moments. She didn't just step into the spotlight, she owned it. That window turned into superstardom. Clark became the number 1. First pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, signed the richest endorsement deal in women's basketball history with Nike, and instantly became the face of a franchise and arguably the entire league. It's not that she wouldn't have gotten there eventually, but Paige's misfortune accelerated the timeline. Clark didn't just share the spotlight, she became the spotlight. Dwyane Wade didn't sugarcoat anything when he gave his take. He flat out said, "I thought Paige Bueckers was going to be one of those GOATs, but her ACL injuries opened the door for Caitlin Clark." That's a bold statement, but it also cuts right to the heart of how sports actually work.
Oh, man, she's not seeing not a another wide open shot. Not a another one. Yo, welcome to this side, y'all. All the Paige Bueckers fans, welcome to this side. The Caitlin Clark fan base been saying this the entire year of last year, and she was just getting guarded like nobody else.
Here's the reality. In athletics, talent alone doesn't guarantee superstardom. Timing, health, and opportunity play massive roles. Paige Bueckers had all the talent in the world. As a freshman at UConn, she was already the National Player of the Year. Analysts, coaches, and even NBA players were calling her a generational guard. But the moment those injuries piled up, everything changed. Instead of dominating the headlines, she was on the sidelines. And while she was rehabbing, the basketball world didn't stand still. Someone else stepped into the void, and that someone was Caitlin Clark. This is where Wade's words sting for Paige fans but ring true for everyone else. Clark was always elite, but Paige's absence accelerated Clark's rise. Without Paige in the spotlight, Clark had the stage all to herself. Every big shot, every viral highlight, every 40-point masterpiece was amplified because there wasn't a competing narrative. Clark became the story, not just a story. Some fans push back on this, saying Clark's talent would have put her in the spotlight regardless. And they're right. Clark is that good. But Wade's point isn't about whether Clark would have been a star. It's about how fast she became the face. Paige's injuries sped up the process. They cleared the runway for Clark to take off without distraction. And let's be clear, this isn't unique to women's basketball. It's a pattern we've seen across sports history. Think about how Tom Brady became Tom Brady after Drew Bledsoe's injury. Think about how Stephen Curry's rise came at a time when other stars were struggling with injuries. Timing matters, availability matters, and for Caitlin Clark, her availability during Paige's toughest setbacks turned her into the cultural phenomenon we know today. That's Wade's truth bomb. He's not saying Paige is less talented. He's not saying Clark didn't earn it. He's saying timing, brutal, unfair, uncontrollable timing, changed the trajectory of women's basketball. And in his words, Paige's misfortune opened the window for Caitlin Clark. That's not hate, that's reality. Now, here's the flip side that makes this story so powerful. Paige Bueckers didn't fade away. She didn't let injuries define her career. Instead, she fought her way back and created one of the most inspiring redemption arcs in recent memory. After tearing her ACL and missing the entire 2022-23 season, people doubted whether she'd ever be the same. Some even wondered if her body could handle the grind of elite basketball again. But Paige refused to let that be the end of her story. She dedicated herself to rehab, rebuilt her strength, and came back determined to remind the world who she was. And when she finally returned for her last season at UConn, she delivered. She led her team all the way to a national championship, proving she wasn't just a what-if story. She was a winner, she was resilient, and she was still every bit the generational talent people claimed she was before the injuries. This comeback did two things. First, it silenced the critics who had written her off. Every athlete faces doubters when they go through injuries, but Paige answered them with results. Second, it reignited the narrative that her career wasn't over. It was just beginning a new chapter. Now, as she steps into the WNBA with the Dallas Wings, the basketball world is watching closely.
Look at Paige Bueckers' performances, y'all. All right, the last game, Golden State, she had 9 points, man. 9 points, and shot 25% from the field.
Paige is no longer just the player who got injured. She's the comeback story, the redemption arc, the living proof that setbacks don't erase greatness. And that's why Wade, and so many others, are still high on her. Wade even compared her to Diana Taurasi, one of the greatest of all time. That's not a casual compliment. That's an acknowledgement that Paige still has the potential to carve out a legendary career, even after everything she's been through. And here's what makes this so dramatic. Paige's comeback sets the stage for a rivalry with Clark that could define the WNBA for the next decade. Clark may have dominated the spotlight while Paige was down, but now Paige is healthy, hungry, and ready to fight for her own share of the stage. So while Wade acknowledged Paige's injuries gave Clark an opportunity, he's also pointing out that Paige's story isn't done. Her comeback only makes the future more compelling. Dwyane Wade ended his comments with something fans should really pay attention to. Instead of having one star, now you're able to have 2 stars. And they're both different. They're not the same star. This is the bigger picture. For years, women's basketball has been searching for crossover stars who could push the game into mainstream conversation. Caitlin Clark has clearly become that star. Her impact on ticket sales, TV ratings, and sponsorships is undeniable. But the WNBA doesn't need just one Clark. It needs multiple faces, multiple icons, and Paige Bueckers represents exactly that. Think about it. Clark and Bueckers are not carbon copies. Their styles are wildly different. Clark is explosive, flashy, and fearless, pulling up from 30 feet and throwing no-look dimes. She's the kind of player who thrives on chaos and turns every game into a highlight reel. Bueckers, on the other hand, is smooth, calculated, and precise. She controls the pace, makes the game look effortless, and beats teams with surgical execution. This contrast is gold for the WNBA. It gives fans variety, it fuels debates, it creates rivalries. Who's better? Who's more impactful? Whose style do you prefer? That kind of discussion is exactly what grows a league. Look at the NBA. It wasn't just Jordan, it was Jordan and Bird, Magic and Kareem, Kobe and LeBron. Rivalries and comparisons fuel interest, and Wade's right. Having both Clark and Bueckers healthy and competing only elevates everyone. It's not about one taking from the other. It's about both adding to the game in their own way. Together, they raise the WNBA's ceiling. Together, they give fans more reasons to tune in. So yes, Paige's injuries may have given Clark an early head start in the spotlight. But now, with Paige back, the league doesn't just have Clark. It has Clark and Bueckers. Two generational guards, two different stars, and one league that just got a whole lot more exciting.
I'm telling you, man, Caitlin Clark is on another level with this, all right? This looked like the beginning of Caitlin Clark rookie year. This looked like the beginning. And even then, Caitlin Clark was playing better than this. This is crazy work.